What's up, everybody? Coming to you live from the Uncle Steve Shake Studios in Center Bonstead, New Hampshire. It's the Pit Life Barbecue Podcast, where we talk everything barbecue and a lot of other topics that we normally talk around the pit. What is going on? It's Monday night, 8 o'clock. Let's go. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who tuned in yesterday, showed up to the venue yesterday in person, everybody who donated items for the raffles in auctions, everyone who bid on the raffles in auctions. Steve called me last night, and altogether, a rough number was we raised about 10 grand for Blake, which is fantastic. So, from everybody, me and Uncle Steve and everybody, thank you all so much for everybody contributing in every way possible. So thank you all. So let's go. Tonight's episode, obviously brought to you by Uncle Steve Shake. What can I say? One of the greatest guys on the planet. Drops it, does anything for anybody at any time. 16 amazing flavors, including the sauce with no name. Fresh, always use the freshest of ingredients. When you place an order with Steve, it's going to get packed within days, bottled into shipped from the time you place your order. There's nothing sitting on the shelves for time, days, weeks on end. It's always fresh, gets right out to you. Great customer service. Shoot them an email, send them a phone call. You have check him out, UncleSteveShake.com, and also his Facebook group, Uncle Steve Shake Nation, to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest shake news out there. Uncle Steve Shake, shake some on everything. Also brought to you by Joe's Meat Market, the heart of Royce City, Texas. Gabriel and his crew do an incredible job day in, day out. That small town feel, always welcoming. The meat selection is amazing. Always the freshest cuts. You need custom cuts, certain sizes you're looking for. He's got you covered on that. Freshest produce, sauces, rubs, other seasonings, injections. He's got it. Just started carrying wood species, different species for burning in the pits and the drums. So check them out. And when you're there and the boys are sitting there, grab a bite to eat. Get a couple of tacos. Relax from the everyday running and gunning. So, like I said, check them out on all social medias at Joe's Meat Market and Joe's Meat Market DX. And remember, Joe's Meat Market for the win. So we got, let's see, Daddy Dutch, I know, is in here. Congratulations, Dutch, on taking the drum in yesterday's auction. Tom's Food Factory, what's up? NBL, back. Smitty, what's happening? Tim Rogers, what's happening, brother? Pokey Wood Products. That's what Gabriel's carrying down at the shop. So good stuff right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited for tonight. I finally had the opportunity to meet this man in person down at Houston, and man, was he looking dapper. Nice white sport coat, black hat, royal oak hat. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, half of LimpBrizkit, Mr. James Dodson. James, what's up, brother?
Johnny, finally good to be on here. Again, I want to apologize. For those that don't know, Arica had a significant surgery about 2.5 weeks ago, and she did not feel like setting up and talking for the time, but she sends her best. And Johnny, you'll have to have her on, have a women pitmaster edition, because she's definitely the better half of LimpBrizkit.
Absolutely, and I actually have now. We have it twice on video. You said that back in Houston too. You know that because I missed her because she was still working her way down to get there when I was running around doing the interviews that day. But for anybody who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got into barbecue, and your journey up to there, and all that, and what got into what is now LimpBrizkit.
So I think kind of like everybody, right? Like I started, my friends told me how good it was because you're feeding them free barbecue and beer. And then they were like, man, you should do a competition. And the first competition I went to, there was only 12 teams that showed up. And instead of calling the top 10, the cooks voted to call from 11 to first. So, the first category chicken that got the second. And I told my buddy, I go, man, this is easy. I already won first place chicken. Well, long story short, I got 12th, 12th, and 12th. And then like every good competitive cook, right? I said it was rigged. I go, the judge knew all these people. It's rigged. And I'm competitive. So I spent, nowadays with classes and everything, it's a lot easier. But I spent 2 years donating and really didn't get good until I met Arica because, she came out to the first one and said, hey, we're not here to donate. And if we show up, we're going to show out. And so she started taking notes, and her notes are like the humidity index, the temperature, the elevation. She takes every note on how we cooked, how fast it cooked, what the finishing temp was. Literally one time she was trying to count the amount of lump charcoal from roll oak to put in there. And I'm like, man, you can't, it's different sizes, babe. So she is a science. She had a degree in science. So she, that's her. Yeah. She wants it to be exact. And me, I'm like, throw a little bit of that on there, throw a little bit of this on there. And with her, as soon as she joined the team, we started doing really good. Imagine that. And then, my parents really never did a lot of barbecue. It was more like, bologna sandwiches. And it was something that I could sit outside and drink beer for back then, 14 to 16 hours cooking a brisket. Yep. So, I think I'm like a lot of people in competitive barbecue. It's just kind of, it's you start doing it, you fall in love with it, and then it becomes an addiction.
Oh, for sure. That was the thing with me on when I got started, because obviously growing up in Boston and now in New Hampshire, we're not known for barbecuing. Right. When you go down the street and ask someone what a barbecue is, they're going to tell you hot dogs, hamburgers, and maybe some chicken wings.
Right.
That's a barbecue to them. But sitting there watching barbecue pitmasters on a Sunday afternoon one day and goes, I bet I can do that.
Yeah.
And then you go out in it because, like you said, just like you, my parents didn't barbecue. We had the grill, and it was burgers and it was steaks. And I probably was 19, 20 years old before I knew a steak could be pink in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Mom cooked them the way she liked them. And if you didn't want to eat, then don't eat. But But yeah, then just jumped into it, and it was one of the greatest things I ever did. I have been blessed since getting into the barbecue world of everything, friendships, relationships, opportunities I'd never have before, or to literally have friends, A, all over the country, and B,
Right.
different parts of the world, you know, and all from what do we call it, burning meat in the parking lot.
Yeah.
know?
Well, and you know, it's funny because it's like, you know, it's a very expensive hobby, right? And I think I've cooked probably 25, 26 comps in 18, 19, and then probably about 20 a year after that. And, you know, it's expensive. And to me, it is a hobby. I mean, there was one year that we ended up with more in the bank account than what we started with, right?
All right.
I know, it was insane. Like, we won 2 GCs that paid like $1,500 a piece, and we did really well. But man, the people, you know, that's the thing is like, you know, waking up at 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning when it's hard for me to get up at 6 o'clock for work during the week. And I'm looking forward to it. And you cheer on your friends, and, you know, you want to win. And, you know, I'm very competitive, but I'm not near as competitive as Arica. You know, like Arica, there's something about if we don't get a call, she's wanting to know what we did wrong, and she blames me. So I'm usually the person she blames.
Oh yeah, you know, I was my first comps. It was the same thing. It's like I thought it was good. I had other people taste it. They thought it was very good. They gave me their honest opinion, you know, which I love the fact. And they're like, yeah, no, this is good. It's a little tight, or you know, you could have took it another 5 degrees. You know, always the learning curve. But it's like, okay, now where did I finish? Now I'm looking at the score sheets, trying to figure out how to read the score sheets, you know, and read the comment card. Oh, way too salty. Okay. Judge 1, 2, 3. Look on the score sheet. Judge 1, 2, 3. 999.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
What? You know, you gave me the comment, but I'll take the points. I'll take the no deduction on the points. But man,
Well, you know what I always love is like when you get the one where somebody says it's too salty and another one says needs salt, or somebody will say it's too sweet or not sweet enough, right? On the same piece of meat.
yeah, and you know that just shows, you know, the difference for everybody. You know, that one table could, and everyone's got the same profile, and you just nail it. But then you get those little ones inside there and throws you for the loop. But Daddy Dutch is going to roll the questions right off the bat. Let me bring it up here while we're talking science of it. Do you agree with the theory that meat cooks faster the more humid it is?
So here's the weird thing, right? So like it depends, right? Like sometimes, well, I will say this: when it's humid, we burn more charcoal, right? So we do burn more charcoal when it's humid, and I cook on drums. I have a really nice custom offset that Benny Koger and Justin West built me, but you know, I got a toy hauler, and it's easy for me just to wheel those drums on. And when the humidity index, and Arica knows it, I don't. I wish she was here, but if it's like above like 35 or 40%. When I wrap everything, I check the charcoal basket, because the only time I've ever run out of charcoal is when the humidity level is above a certain temperature. But if it's cold and humid, which we've done that too, where it's been cold, it seems like it takes longer. And I guess maybe just because the outside temperature. But I mean, we cooked in the Stock Show Syndicate a couple of weeks ago, I guess 2 months ago, and it was really humid, and literally everything, like, you know, my brisket turn-ins at 3, it finished at 11:30.
Yeah.
And I put it on at 5:30, right? And then my ribs turn-in for those were 2 or 1:30, and they were done at 11. It was like everything cooked so much faster. But, you know, I do realize that the higher the temp, it was like 80 degrees, very humid. and it did. It everything burned really quick.
Yeah, I ran into that last year in June at the Granite State Championship. The day we rolled in was like 100 degrees out. Then that night the storms came through. The rest of the weekend was maybe 60. But all my meat that Sunday was done early. Then later on in the year, we had one in August, and everything was later. It seemed the cooler it was, the faster everything finished. Like the pit was just more efficient.
Yeah.
But it was, it's that crazy science of it all.
Yeah, Arica just texted me and she said, "You don't know what you're talking about." And she said, literally, I'll read this. She's like, she goes, "Do you need more stitches?" I'll tell you that story here in a little bit.
Okay.
And then she said, "Babe, it's usually slower. Like the higher the humidity index, the more moisture in the air." And she said it maybe in Texas, I don't know, but it cooks slow. She said, "Baby, our finishing times are 15 to 18 minutes." Right? That's how the good notes she takes. 15 to 18 minutes slower with a humidity index over 50%. So,
okay.
And she, like I said, I just do what she tells me to do, and it usually works out for us.
There you go.
And I've had to cook. I've had to cook a lot this year because, our daughter graduated, and it's the medical stuff. She's really tired a lot, and so I went out there a lot, and I didn't do well without her. So I'm excited for her to get healthy and get back out there with us.
Oh, absolutely. But I love the fact that she dives deep in the murky waters of the science behind it. I love that stuff.
So I'm going to tell you the story, Johnny, and some people know it, some people don't. But we cooked in Vernon, Texas, and it was during COVID, and the only cooking association in Texas that were really having cooks was Lone Star. So we drove out to Vernon, and they had pork, but it was pulled pork, right? And so we did chicken, ribs, pulled pork, and brisket. And so she cooked the chicken ribs, and I did the pork and the brisket. Well, the pork I messed up. It wasn't tender enough. It wasn't Texas tender. But we still finished like top 10, right? And there was like 60 cooks there. She gets the brisket, and I start cutting it because back then I'd cut all the meat. She'd cook it, she'd bring it in, and I cut it. Well, I start cutting it. She goes, "What do you think?" And I shook my head because it was tough. And so she took a piece and did the little pull test, and she had to tug it. And she had this spatula. Well, she threw the spatula down, and first she yelled. She was like, "When I cook for you, I take it serious. When I cook and all I ask you to do is one cook meat, you don't." Then she pulled it apart. She took a bite of it. She had a spatula and she threw it on the table. It hit the table, hit the back of the wall, came up and cut me right above my eye. Oh. And so I had blood pour, because it's hot. You've been drinking. Yeah. I had blood pouring down my face. We go to awards and she won't hold my hand. She won't talk to me. They call second place brisket, and I go, "Babe, I'm so sorry." And she was like, "I'm done. We're not talking the rest of the day." They call first place brisket, it was her. And then she turns around and she goes, "Come up there with me, babe." And I'd walked outside, and Medic did like a butterfly stitch. So everybody thinks she's so sweet, and she can be mean.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. That keeps us on our toes, brother.
I know.
I got one very simple. My wife is literally probably 10 feet above me right now in the living room. She's the same way. She's sweet as can be, but ooh, baby, I'd cross her and forget about it.
Oh yeah.
Not a good situation. In Dutch. Oh, where the hell did he go? There it is. So from now on, I'll address all my questions to Arica, the head pitmaster.
I'm telling you, Daddy Dutch, I'm out there to have cold beverages and a good time. That's like, I look at it, but Arica says that we're the perfect yin and yang, right? Because sometimes every cook-off, if the cook goes perfect, what separates good cooks and great cooks is when something did, like one time. That's not what she usually
already.
That's not what she usually says, by the way. She cleaned it up for television.
Hey, we're not FCC regulated. Let it fly.
No, babe. Come on. But the thing with Arica, she takes this extremely serious. Like, I mean, everything that we do, like one time we went to a comp, we hadn't been hitting, and I said, and usually she always says, hey, stay with what we do. We've practiced it. Let's not do anything. And I'll always throw out, hey, let's try this. And she's always like, no. Well, that one day I said, hey, but what about if we just throw out our finishing rubs or finishing barbecue sauce and put it in there? And she was like, okay. And we hit. But there's been times where the brisket's not done and you cut that a little bit thinner, right there. It's all the little tips and tricks. One time I did money muscle. It's the first time I'd ever cooked money muscle in a comp. And I mean, it wasn't getting done. And I cut it into slices and put it in a little foil pan and put the au jus in there. And I put it on the bottom rack of I took the deflector plate out and put it on the bottom rack of the drum smoker and let it burn for 30 minutes, pulled it out, and it was perfect. I mean, perfect bite. And we hit first place pork. And it's like, those are the things that if everything goes well, it's what you do when you got 30 minutes left to turn in, and you either got, there's times that I've taken a brisket because I had a philosophy, a brisket I didn't want to cut when it was too hot, because in Texas, we way overcook it. And and so literally I took it and I stuck it in the freezer, and I did the same thing. We overcooked some money muscle. I mean, it was like I tried to cut the first piece and it was mush. And I took that money muscle, put a little bit of au jus, wrapped it in foil, and stuck it in a Glad bag and stuck it in an ice chest for like 15 minutes. It cooled it down enough to where when I cut it, it was. I mean, you know how it is, Johnny. It's not, if everything goes well, that's easy. It's what happens if it doesn't. And those calls mean a lot more than the ones that everything goes perfect.
Oh yeah, like I said, that was going back to my first one last year. The Granite State Open. I hadn't got my Cambro yet, so I was running and resting everything in coolers. Well, I got a bunch of different coolers, with this, that, everything's in. So I had one cooler empty. Just didn't even think of it. So took out everything. The brisket was okay. Put the brisket in. The pork was next. Okay, put the pork in there. Everything was in the same cooler. Okay. I burp it here and there.
Yeah.
But obviously didn't burp it enough. Or the fact of literally all the proteins were sitting on each other from right off and just kept on cooking. So I go out with, didn't realize it till ribs because chicken was the first turn-in. So that literally came off the pit in the box and send it. Got to the ribs, it's like, okay. Went to slice it, and it's just pulled pork and shredded. I'm
no.
What is wrong with this rack? Grab another one. Same thing. I had cooked 4 racks. One of the racks was my test rack because I hated the way it looked, was the only one that would cut clean. And I think it was wound up still good for like a 19th rib out of 50 teams. So it's like, okay. Yeah. But it was those little things. It just completely split my mind, not even thinking of it, that it's everything sitting on top of each other in that one cooler. And I'm like, damn it. Once it hit me, I'm like, oh well. Too late now.
That's the like, I know we've I mean, some of this, like in Texas barbecue, the old style of Texas, I mean, it's still that way. most organizations besides KCBS that has a few cooks in Texas, they eat with a knife and fork.
Yeah.
Right. And so they don't each get an individual piece. There was one time, and I forgot where it was. It was a town of a brewery, and Eric and I went and cooked, and I brought a brand new pit and went out and cooked it. And the brisket was burnt, the chicken was toast, and the ribs didn't get done. Right. I didn't do a practice cook on this or anything. And I had 3 ribs that were tender. So I put 4 on the bottom and those 3 on top, and we hit like a 3rd place rib out of 30 teams because that was the only ones they got to.
Yeah.
The same thing with brisket. We've had brisket to where it's really tough, but I found 2 pieces that were kind of tender, and I just stuck those in top. So.
All right. So I think you had said, what was it, 2018, but how long have you guys been cooking as a I'll ask, but I'll ask a different time when I get Arica on. Okay. How did the 2 of you meet?
So Eric and I actually went to high school together, and then me and her brother were friends, and then her brother asked me to cook for his daughter's birthday party, and I went and I was talking to Arica, and I said, hey, where's so and so? And she was like, we're getting divorced. And then she asked me, hey, where's your wife? And I said, we're getting divorced. And we started kind of hanging out. And the funny thing is, I was embarrassed of cooking barbecue. I didn't even tell her. Like the first competition I went to, she was like, hey, what are you doing this week? And I said, I'm gonna go cook with some friends. And then she was like, well, who are you cooking with? Whose house are you? Like she's asking me all the questions. And finally I said, well, I'm doing a barbecue competition. And so, literally she gave me a bean recipe, and it was my first trophy. I got a bean ladle. And I called her and I said, we got a bean trophy. And then after that, she was hooked. Like, people, like, you go to cook off and it's male dominated. Like there's hardly any wives that come out there. And the ones that do, they'll come up there and be like, you're such a trooper. You do this like every week. And, I love the picture you chose. And Johnny, it's kind of funny that you chose that picture. That was Erica's first. We used to cook against each other. That was her first cook ever. Yeah. And, I was like, babe, we already have a pit. I can't pull 2 pits. I had a big old, 250-gallon pit. So we went to Walmart and I bought her a Pit Boss whiskey still pellet smoker that was on clearance for $79. And she ended up 4th overall out of that contest. First cook ever.
Yeah. Because that's where I was going with the how'd you guys meet question of, was she actually cooking beforehand too?
But no, she had never started a grill. She had never started a grill, never a gas grill, nothing. And then she can light a fire. She can do anything. It's crazy. She's the real deal. And I always tell everybody, like, I think the pit master term is thrown around way too much.
Yeah.
But I'd consider her more of a pit master than me because, she does open fire cooking. Like she loves cooking steaks on a Weber with, we'll get that Weber and put logs in it. And she's like flipping the steaks and she has those mama hands where she can touch hot stuff where I yell, right? She's the real deal. She knows how to cook.
Oh, that's amazing. So she just jumped in both barrels blazed and then hasn't turned back.
Oh yeah, literally. I thought, you got to realize 18, 19, we slept in a tent. And then I bought a wind generator on Amazon. It sounded like a Harley Davidson. And my first RGC was at Keller Lions Club. And man, we slept in a tent and they put us up front because they had all these big rigs there. Johnny Trigg was there. Like all these big cooks were there. And we RGC'd it. We won like $1,900. And this guy comes up to me and he goes, man, congratulations. Nice cook. Now go buy an effing real generator. Because he goes, our generator sounded like a Harley Davidson, man. Like I was so embarrassed because I'd turn it on and everybody would look. And so I would turn it on just enough to use the electric knife or air up our air mattress in our tent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we used to sleep in the back of the Tahoe. Like it was awesome.
Oh yeah, that was like with me and Claudia. It's we're in the back of the Blazer or front seat of the truck, whatever we had, and at the time, then we found tents that actually attached to our canopies, our pop-ups. So there's one on each side. So we got 2 tents for the kids if they come, and we have one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still old school in it, and it's just great. She loves it. She comes out. She doesn't do much on the cooking. She's more of the side chick.
Right.
Works for me, but she can run a box like no other. I'll tell you that.
Well, I will say that's the thing that Arica hates most about KCBS. Like, I mean, Bobby Oliver is like one of our best friends.
Yeah.
And so Bobby was like, well, here, I'll show you how to build a box. Well, Bobby can build a box in like 10 minutes. And we're sitting there like, and literally what I do is I get one box and I just sit there and I'll just act like I'm putting stuff in and I wait till Arica gets all the other boxes done. And it makes her so mad. But man, that's an art form in itself. The greens in the box to make it pretty and then getting them tight, spraying that duck fat on. So that way, if you place something, it doesn't stick to it. I mean, it's insanity. That's an art form in itself.
Oh, it's wild. So that's why I'm so excited about the 4th of July with the CBA coming up for their first event here. To see to watch the inner workings of how everything rolls on that.
No, I was going to say that CBA, those walk-up songs, like it's. I'm telling you right now, like my wife and I, we used to cook in a different an organization, and they changed the scoring rules, right? And so, us and about 8 or 9 other people, we got together and we started an organization called Outlaw Barbecue Association, right? And it's funny because Texas, it's like all these organizations, sometimes they'll fight or whatever online. And Eric and I, like, we'll cook anything. I mean, I'll cook Lone Star, I'll cook Outlaw, I'll cook IBCA. I mean, CBA is absolute blast. Those guys, did it right. I think Outlaw did it right. It's a different kind of cooking, right? It's multiple round judging, and they don't take 14 boxes off one table. If there's 5 tables, they take the best 3 from each table, right? So that way, if you win your table, you have a chance in the final round to win, right?
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and CBA is single round judging. IBCA just switched to single round judging. But the thing I love about Texas is, Johnny, I'm going to ask you this question. How many cook-offs do you have within 4 hours of your house in a year?
Okay, hold on. Within 4 hours?
Yeah.
Granite State. Well, simply going off of last year, because there were a couple other ones that popped up this year. So going off of last year's schedule, this is actually a bad example of a question because of how small New England is.
Well, I know that, and that's the reason I'm asking is because I'll tell you how many I have in Texas.
Yeah, so being located in central New Hampshire, we have Maine. There was one in Vermont, one in New Hampshire, 3 in Massachusetts, 1 in Rhode Island, and 1 in New York. If I drive like a madman, I can probably get to the one in New Jersey within 4 hours. So I'm gonna say 8, possibly 9.
Okay. So in Texas, in 4 hours of me driving, I could get to 170 comps in a year.
Oh,
So
that's a dream.
and I was talking to somebody we had a show on the Barbecue Champs Academy, right? With Mike Still.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked up how many, it was a guesstimate, but I think the Pro Series at KCBS only has like 200 and something cooks, like less than 250. And in Texas, we have over 250 sanctioned cook-offs a year in Texas alone.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild.
It's like, so like, you can cook every weekend if you want. And, the summer months where up north it picks up. Here, it's, Justin West and I and Arica, we went and cooked Glen Rose last year in August. And Justin had the temp gun that you shoot. And it was 130, it was 138 degrees on the asphalt that we were cooking on. And it's like, it's not, at that point, it's not worth it. But, that's the great thing about Texas. We have all the different organizations. If you want multiple round judging, you can go to Outlaw and Lone Star. They still have that. If you want single round judging, you have CBA, you have IBCA. I mean, it's funny because, sometimes you get caught up in this organization's that, and this organization's that. And then I always like talking to somebody like you and, like at the Royal Oak Invitational, I started talking to these guys from the Northwest and they're like, man, it takes us 5 hours to get to one comp. And, at the Stock Show Syndicate, it was 11 miles from my house and I didn't even have to get on the highway and they paid out 25 grand. It's crazy.
Oh,
in that same weekend, Johnny, you had the Stock Show Syndicate that paid 25 grand. You had that was a Lone Star or IBCA at and sorry for all these people in the Northeast, but the greatest team in the history of football, the Dallas Cowboys, at their stadium, they had a cook-off that gave whoever GC'd it an RV. And Philip Breeden won like a $60,000 RV at a cook-off, and that was all the same weekend.
Yeah,
I hit a first place brisket. I had a second place ribs that paid $1,000. I hit first place brisket. It paid $1,500, 2 pair of free boots, and a $500 Cinch gift card. It's crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that is great. Oh,
so Johnny. So there you go, baby. Exactly. But Arica's the better half. You should have. There's a Michelle Castillo and Arica and Jackie Milligan. You should those are the women of Texas. There's a lot of great cooks. You got an up and comer, Katrina, that cooks with Mark Pugh, and you have Amy Hargrove that cooks with Bubba David Hargrove. She's kind of branched out and had her own teams. Arica and I went to cook a couple months ago. There were 6 women out there cooking, like cooking the chicken or involved, not just cooking dessert. And like it is really cool to see, And then the cool thing is Uncle Steve. So we're having a Red River barbecue battle for ribs. There's a new cook-off association called the Rib Cooking Association. Johnny, you know anything about that, or have you heard about it?
Yeah.
So Dirk and Jody, they're the founders of the Rib Cooking Association, and it's just like SCA, but you bring your own ribs, right? And so my wife and I do a 4th of July party. We own some land up in Ryan, Oklahoma, about an hour and a half from our house, and we're doing a Rib Cooking Association on this weekend, and then Justin's doing one on the weekend after, right? The 5th and 6th. And it's a combined, whoever has the 2 highest point totals. And Uncle Steve sent a care package to put in the Grand Champion Weber kettle. And a big shout out to Uncle Steve. I mean, I met him at a TBC because Eric and I have been following the Texas Barbecue chapter. I mean, you guys, you got Big Rome, Max, Smitty, you got Joe from Joe's Meat or Gabriel from Joe's Meat Market. And like I said, I love it because somebody starts cooking that rib cook-off and then it's going to grow. And that's, I think it's kind of like the backyard of KCBS. But, we were going to do a KCBS. We were going to do a double header. But to as a promoter, the cost of doing a KCBS is extremely expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting wild. It's, and that's why, like, this year, I'm actually not competing because I can't afford it.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like I said, a KCBS right off the bat, $350.
Yeah.
That's just to get your name on the list so you can show up and get a parking spot. That's that. You haven't gotten any of your proteins. With KCBS Master Series, it's the 4 meats: brisket, pork, chicken, and ribs. Is there any ancillaries going on? Or, because up here, turn-in is on Sundays.
Oh,
so
okay.
we usually load in on Friday. Then we'll have something going on, like a 1-meat challenge on Saturday. So if you want to enter that, comes with a whole nother price. And it just adds up. And, before you know it, it's like, holy cow.
Well,
do that every week.
Yeah, I mean, it's I used to play golf 3 times a week. I lived in Arizona for 3 years. I played on Friday afternoon. I played on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. Golf was a lot cheaper than it is because and that's the reason I love what Dirk and Jody, because I had talked to them at the Decatur Barbecue Bash in Decatur that Justin West throws. And man, that's a heck of a cook-off. He feeds all the cooks on Friday night. He has chicken sandwiches during the day. He feeds you breakfast on Saturday. He has chicken sandwiches, and then it's a chili dog festival after awards, and we have live music.
Yeah,
and I always say he's one of the best promoters in Texas because that guy can hustle. But you have an opportunity with the rib cook-off. And I was talking to Dirk and Jody, and she was like, because when I started cooking, I'd get the briskets that were on sale for 69 cents a pound. I'd go get, back then I think I cooked 3 briskets, right? Like when you first start cooking, but now it's like, you get a Wagyu. Like, we're lucky. We have HEB. We can get Snake River Farms black for like $160.
I love HEB.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you probably came down here when you were down here. It's amazing.
Every time I come to Texas, we gotta go to HEB,
right?
Go to Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Go to Lopez Mexican restaurant in Houston.
Right.
And what the hell's the name of the liquor store? Begins with an S. Dutch.
I'm not sure. I don't drink.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, neither do I. I just go in because I like how it smells in there.
Yeah, I like the way they clean the aisles.
Yeah, it's very wonderful. Yeah, it begins with an S. I can't remember the name of the store, but anyway, yeah, they're staples. But that first time we went to HEB, it was like, oh my God! I'm walking there, I'm just looking at brisket, and I see Snake River Farms. I'm like, you got to be kidding me!
Oh, it's insane!
Right at your grocery store. It's like, holy shit!
Yeah, and they have great ribs. They'll we cook half. It's crazy. I mean, you can't beat the and that's what I'm saying. Like, even then though, you're spending $170 on a brisket. You're spending $20 a rack of ribs, so that's $60. But even our Walmarts, I don't know if your Walmarts are doing that up there, but they're carrying Prairie Fresh. our Walmarts are. So
Oh,
it's like,
really?
oh yeah. I mean, it's like, but still though, you're spending, $250 on meat, $200 on entry, and that's not even the gas for your truck, the charcoal, the beer,
Yeah.
the to eat there or whatever. I mean, it's
Yep.
$650, and for them to come up with that idea of, hey, let's get people just, it's like SCA, but they're cooking ribs, and you can still do a festival around it. It's very low cost. Specs Liquor. Was it Specs?
Smacks that one. Yep. Thanks, Smitty. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate it. It was right on the tip of my tongue. Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, it gives people the opportunity to kind of put their feet in and learn, because when I started, there were no classes. Like, you kind of just sit around the fire at the end of the night and listen. And then, I looked at Facebook posts. Like, I looked how people were cutting their brisket. Like when people post pictures, like, and like, man, they're saucing their brisket. Who the heck sauces their brisket, right? Mm-hmm. And I saw that, and I was like, okay, so I started doing that. And it's, it's. And I was going to ask you though, the Houston Rodeo, what did you think?
This year was my second year.
Okay.
Going down there, and it still blows me away. So my first year down there, I was in awe, because everybody had told me, it's like this little, it's a city. There's streets, there's avenues, and okay, fine. I get it. But then you get there, and it's like, oh, holy shit, this is a whole different animal.
Yeah.
There were that first year, there were places I didn't even get to. I had people with, hey, my tent number is 123. I couldn't find it.
Right.
And it was like, where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? Now this year I had a better understanding of it, and I went around doing the interviews and everything. I knew my way around it much better. But it still blows your mind. The amount of people.
Yeah, the money. Like, I think last year they had 250,000 people that paid to go in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's those tents, and you came to our tent, and I got you hooked up with a lot of good people, mm-hmm. right? You were Barbecue Ninja.
Oh my God, James. I hit the mother load when I came to talk to you. Oh.
And then the guys from Brew Crew, so they struggled, and I don't know how many years. I think it's like 18 to 20 years. And this is like, it's like when Arica cooked chicken and got the first time she got a first place chicken call, right? There's a guy named Tommy Martin, and the Brew Crew guys are unbelievable. You got Ryan Moat, you got Eric. I'm going to forget somebody. Cutter, who was the Master Chef guy that you interviewed. Mm-hmm. You got Shannon, and you got Tommy Martin. And Tommy Martin had cooked that for 18 years, or their team had cooked and never got a call. So they went to Barbecue Ninja and they said, "Hey, can you get us some help?" And Tommy's like, "I'm done." So he went and grabbed Justin West, and then the next year Justin West grabbed me. And I've seen all of my friends hold those banners up, and I'm always like, dude, you're celebrating a top 10, right? Like, I know that sounds really, but I'm telling you, when they come around giving those banners out, it's insane. And they asked me to come cook brisket. Our first year, we hit 8th brisket out of 290 teams. Justin hit a 6th place rib, and Tommy's like, man, this is why I wanted to get out of it. I'm not good at competition barbecue. Well, lo and behold, he started coming up there, and we cooked Decatur. There were 76 teams. And I said, hey, man, you're cooking chicken. And so he cooked chicken. We got a top 10 call in chicken, top 10 call in ribs, top 10 call in brisket. We were the only team to have 3 calls, and we GC'd it. Fast forward to Houston this year, Justin's daughter was in the basketball playoffs in high school. He couldn't come. So he told Tommy, you can cook the ribs. and Tommy made final table on ribs. And this is the same guy that used to say, man, I can't do this competition stuff. And to see somebody like that, and I mean, the emotions of not thinking you can do that, and then being able to do it, because everybody that's on here that's a comp cook, it's all the tips and tricks that you learn, trial and error. Or a shout out to Mike Steele, Barbecue Champs Academy. You spend $499 or whatever it is, and you get instant results instead of doing what I did and donate for 3 or 4 years, right? Oh, yeah. Or get you in Arica. Get you in Arica, because when she came on the team, I got a lot better.
Oh, yeah. There you go. So speaking of the tent in Houston, the next question, how did you guys get involved with Team Royal Oak?
So, when they first started their sponsorship programs, there were a couple of teams that got selected around here. Chris Hatcher and Justin West. They were a couple of the first teams that got selected in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Chris Hatcher, there's another show that does a Mount Rushmore. And Chris Hatcher would be like the first person, because that guy he's a beast. And I think Eric and I cooked against him 26 times and never beat him. And then one time we GC'd. Mm-hmm. And then he took some time off for his kid to motocross, and I was excited about that because I didn't have to face him anymore.
Yep.
And then the first time I applied for the Royal Oak, the Royal Oak charcoal, I applied, and they were like, "Hey, you need to do a better job at social media." And so we did, and then just happened to have one of our best years. So I think we had 6 GCs that year, and we finished 3rd overall in IBCA and first in Region 1. They have the sections of Texas by regions, and so just us constantly doing that. And Royal Oak, they you get pallets of charcoal, right? They give shout outs to you. I mean, the whole team at Royal Oak, the marketing team, unfortunately, there might have been a cold beverage or so, but I kept calling the marketing director Sugar Fire, Mike Johnson. And it was not Mike Johnson. And I talked to him for an hour, and he kept saying, "I'm not Mike Johnson." I go, "Dude, you're not that big of a deal, man. Like, you're just a cook." And I didn't realize that was a marketing director. So I might or might not be on Team Royal Oak for 2025, but we're going to give it hell.
Watch out for the other eyebrow in a minute.
Yeah, I know. I'm waiting.
Sorry, Arica. Don't come after me. Yeah. But 2 questions I gotta ask for sure. How did the name LimpBrizkit come about?
So like I said, I did competition barbecue way before Arica. It was so funny when we started winning. Everybody's like, man, it's cool to see a new cook. And I'm like, dude, you've been whooping my butt for 7 years, right? But my one of my best friends, Scott Loftus, and I used to do a thing called the Saginaw Showdown. And it was just me and him competing against each other. And it was basically a reason to have a party. And I moved to Arizona, and I used to be Team Bluewood because I lived on Bluewood. And I moved to Arizona, and I was like, man, I got to come up with a couple of team names that are good. My buddy Ernest Garcia came up with Grills Gone Wild, I Can Make Them Squill, and LimpBrizkit. And at that time, our ex-wives took out the first 2, and we went with LimpBrizkit. Okay, and that's kind of how LimpBrizkit started. And there's a bunch of team LimpBrizkits. It's funny.
We have one up here in Mass. Yeah. A bunch of my buddies I went to school with, they're team LimpBrizkit.
Yeah, but nobody has the socks though.
That was question number 2, and it's not because they're hanging on the blinds. What is up with the socks? Now, is it obviously it's a tradition, because every comp picture I see, you have them on, Arica has them on. Is it a, superstition thing, good luck thing, however you want to do it, or has it, or just become what you're known for? Like when I was in the old studio, I was known for having the cigar every episode. Now that I'm not doing it at the
I
house,
remember that.
Someone gets mad at me.
Yeah. You'll get that cut above the eye. I know how that is.
I got that one by myself one night, but that's a different story altogether. That's Dutch Hilton. But yeah, how'd the socks come about? So I think it's great.
Yeah. So one time we were to cook off, and I would wear ankle socks with my tennis shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't bring ankle socks, and all I had were like these heavy duty wool white socks for cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, I'm not going to wear pants. So I wore the shorts, and I had these socks. Well, and the people, like, there were people behind us that were like, check out that dude's socks. And Eric and I both heard them. And so we got 3 calls, and I think we either got 3rd overall or we RGC'd it. And I was like, man, if they're going to make fun of my socks, let's make it like really make fun of my socks. And then so we bought them. And then we bought them on Amazon, and literally we wore them. And the first time I was so embarrassed because, you got to realize this is Texas. There's a bunch of hick towns. And then it became fun because people were like, they're saying it loud enough. They're like, oh, look at that. Look at them with those socks. And then, we walked 3 times or whatever. And it's like, oh, crap. And then we went to ankle socks with red, white, and blue. And Aaron Leslie from Texas Old Dust said, man, you lost because we've struggled this year, multiple reasons. And Aaron Leslie's like, dude, you got it. We were in Ardmore, and he goes, man, you got to bring those socks back, man. There's something magical about those socks. So we'll definitely be wearing those socks from here on out.
Yeah, because I always saw them in the pictures. And I'm like, what's up with the socks? I go, it's got to be a good luck thing.
Yeah, big Rome. Yeah, Big Rome wears them because we give them up. We give them out. Big Rome wears them better than me though.
Phil Breeden's the same way. With his, he wears all the crazy design ones, but it's those little things, it's just funny that what becomes part of what you're known for. It's like guys who show up at the sites at the comps and are doing this. What? What are you looking for? Where's your stash of cigars? I know you got them here. You got them here. And shit.
What do you got?
Boom.
Oh, there you go.
There's one of the stashes right there. But it's like, it's just funny how the different things you get known for, So that's what I figured was up with the socks, but I had to ask. I hit the tough hitting questions. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny those socks. It's funny because a couple of times last year I went to a couple of competitions, and I would pull up and they wouldn't even recognize me. And then at awards, I'd wear the socks, and people would come running up going, hey, they don't know me. They know me as Arica's husband. And they'll be like, where's Arica at? We want to meet Arica. And I'm like, oh, she had to stay at home. And they're like, oh, and the disappointment in their face. It's kind of horrible.
The good juju socks. I love it. And I love the fact that you use the term, the juju, good juju. I use that line forever. And everyone's what is good juju? I go, good vibes. Oh, I never heard good juju. I can't remember where I picked it up, but it's wild.
You know what, Johnny? I got a care package for you when I see you in Houston next year. And it's funny. Like, we always think that Texas barbecue guys, like, we take it really serious. And I know everybody does across the country. But I'm warned. This is a warning to everybody on here. Do not party with New Zealand people or Australian. I don't care how much you think you can drink or how you think, you can do whatever. Eric and Bobby Oliver introduced us to all these New Zealand people. And then this year we cooked Weatherford, and that's another cook-off that was a week before the big cook-off. It was $50,000 payout, 123 teams, and there was a team from New Zealand called Rum and Crew, and they came in. Eric and I hung out with. I mean, they're an amazing couple. They have a whole rub line, and we went to White Elephant Saloon the next week. It was really bad. Eric and I said, we're going to go for one beer. Just say hi to everybody. We're coming home. It was like 2 a.m. We had to Uber home. But I mean, I'm telling you right now, Tracy and Matt, if you get a chance to check out their adventures, they were here for 6 weeks. They went to that Weatherford cook-off, never cooked in Texas before, hit first place steak, ended up 4th overall, walked out of there with like $8,000.
Oh, yeah.
And they're some of the nicest people. And they went all up the Northeast too. They were here for 6 weeks. They cooked KCBS. And I'm telling you right now, if you get a chance to party with anybody from New Zealand or Australia, if they're from New Zealand, call them Kiwis. And if they're Australian, say you wished you were New Zealand. And you get to see, like, them yelling at each other, pointing at each other in their face. It's really fun.
Oh, it kind of reminds me of a few of those years running around the back streets of Boston. Ooh, at least the ones I can remember.
So, Johnny, I know we're at an hour, but Eric and I wanted to thank a couple of people, right? Big Rome. Big Rome just got up here and said, "What's up, brothers?" Like, man, Big Rome Max, Texas Barbecue Chapter, like he didn't realize we had used his rub all year on the chicken. And man, Arica was like on fire that year in chicken. I think she cooked 10 straight times and didn't have anything higher than a 3rd place call. Yep. And we were using his competition saison. And
that's the real deal right there.
Oh yeah. And so we went to the first outlaw cook was Gabriel from Joe's Meat Market sponsored it. And we did, and I said, hey, if you come and cook, you've never did a comp cook, I'm doing a free chicken class. And so here comes Big Rome and all the guys from Texas Barbecue Chapter, Smitty, Max, all those guys. And I'm doing the class, and he sees me doing the competition saison. And he goes, you're actually using that? And I said, yeah, man. I said, that's what we used all year. And man, the look on Big Rome's face, I mean, and he's just, those guys do, I mean, they promote barbecue. They have a passion for it. It's like Uncle Steve. I mean, all those guys that hang out together, it's good to be some of the first Texas Barbecue Chapter members, and we'll be members for life, man. Those are some great people.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And, like I was saying earlier, you wind up with having friends and, at this point, family all over the country. And, especially, with me being in New England and, y'all being down in Texas and everything. When I came down to pick up my pit from Ryan at Backline 2 years ago, Ryan threw a pit reveal pop. And
That's awesome.
Just threw it out there to the boys. And like I said, I never met anybody in person. Never. It was all on screen or on the phone, or chatting, messaging back and forth. Had to be 30 guys. Show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Between all the TBC guys, came out down. The Salinas brothers all came down from the Dallas area. Chef Johnny, Jared, Grill Sergeant, Rick Galindo, all those guys, Clarence Joseph and Alicia, they all came up from the San Antonio. Guys came out from Houston, everyone from Austin. It was, and, my wife and my kids, my daughter especially was like, So you're telling me these are your friends, and this is the first day you've ever met them?
That's barbecue.
Because, we're hugging it up and laughing
Yeah.
like we've known each other for years. Because technically we have known each other for years. It's just you never finally were able to put, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder. And it was awesome, But like I said, for everybody to come out for that, for some, I'll say it, for some Yankee up in New England, it's always right there for me. You know what I mean?
Well, like Arica just said, barbecue family is like no other.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm telling you right now, it's I hadn't met Big Rome, but I'd watch his podcast and I tell him all the time he needs to do that virtual bar. Like, and Eric and I'd be on a Friday night, he'd on the virtual bar, and we just watch him, right? Like, it doesn't always have to be one of these things where you just be yourself, right? Like Johnny is funny. Like the person I met in Houston is the same person I'm talking to. And then, and we watch your shows, and then, like I said, I love it because Justin West, Benny Koger, Bobby Oliver, Ed Fowler, Tim, like I could go on and on. When Arica was having the surgery, the amount of text messages I got were unbelievable. And then Mike still called me and was like, "Hey, I'm here. Whatever you got, whatever you need." It's like, and again, we have family and friends before barbecue, and I love them dearly.
Oh, yeah.
But man, when it's barbecue, I love when Big Rome talks about cooking with or barbecue with a passion or cooking with a passion, because we all do it because we love it. But if I told Arica, I go, I'm tired of going to, like, I don't mind going anywhere with Arica, because I'll say, hey, I hate going through Dallas in my trailer. I've just had too many near misses. And I love, because I'll say, hey, babe, there's a cook-off past Stephenville 2 hours. What do you want to do? And she always says, let's go make new friends. And I love making new friends with Arica. But what I hate, Steve said I do it for the chicks. I do too, Uncle Steve. And her name's Arica. But, when I go somewhere and I'm not with Arica, it's not, you still meet people. It's great. But, man, I always feel like with her, I can conquer anything. And barbecue, if you don't, and that's with everybody. I mean, this is an expensive hobby. And, if your wife's not behind you in some form or fashion, and even if she's not cooking, but she's taking care of the kids at home, you know what I mean? Like, this is an insane hobby. And when you try to explain it, like Johnny, if you have friends that aren't in this, how do you explain it to them? Right? Like, well, we go and we cook brisket and
yeah, they're like, what do you mean you cook competition barbecue? I go, to sum it up, we all go into a parking lot and it's a giant tailgate cookout. That's what it is. You take it, you put it in boxes, and a bunch of people sit there and give you a number of what they think about it.
Yeah.
I go, that's the easiest way I can explain it, and then they keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, okay. I go watch these shows. Go look at this, watch this YouTube video. Or even shit, if you're in the neighborhood, come on to we're going to be here. Wow. Oh.
I'm sorry, you cut off on me?
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it just cut off. I think I might not have heard you, because Erica's texted me and was like, you better be nicer. You're not saying enough nice things. That's what she just said. So I don't know what that means.
You're being fantastic.
I think I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, no. There's the text.
But it's like people are blown away because, like I said, especially up here, because we have our own circuit, but it's nothing like down south.
No, but here's the thing though, Johnny. There's like 10 or 12 people when I go to cook and I see them, I get happy. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I'm happy to see everybody, but there's like 10 or 12 that, you've gone through. Like one time we did a cook-off in Glen Rose and it was freezing rain. It was sleet and freezing rain. It was like right at 32, 33 degrees. I mean, everybody, those are stories. Those are war stories. If the weather's perfect, nobody's going to complain about it. Right?
Yeah. 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 I'll give you the story of not knowing somebody but your family. When I came down to get the pit, I wound up taking like 2 weeks off, and we just made the whole trip of it. And I'm like, okay, if we go straight here, let's just hook down into Tennessee, East Coast Tennessee, and made a couple stops to see people. So my first stop was in Ottawa, Tennessee, to meet up with my friend Steve Ray from the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show and the Owl's Nest Barbecue Pro Shop. And he had me and my family's picture on the TV in the window of the shop. Welcome, Johnny Madge and family.
That's awesome.
And, we're cooking burgers for lunch and, got down through there. Next stop was we stayed the night in Hernando, Mississippi on purpose because then I could go to Malcolm's shop, and met up with Mark Williams, and Jamie and Mikey Dyer. And we sat there for 2 hours shooting the shit.
Right.
Then shot down because we were going to stay with Uncle Steve on Friday night, I think, and then shoot over to Austin for the party on Saturday. So we made some time, and we were at a Buc-ee's somewhere right when we got into Texas. So we came in through like Port St. Charles, up through Louisiana into Texas highway. So whatever the first Buc-ee's was, we were there. Dude, it's like 11:30. We're grabbing some sandwiches, we're eating, and we're like, well, what now? And we made some time. It's like the kid's like, oh, let's sleep in the truck at Buc-ee's. Okay, fine, no problem. Steve was calling and messaging and goes, what are you doing? Oh, we're just finishing something to eat. We're at Buc-ee's. We're gonna just crash here, and we'll be at the house in the morning. He goes, fuck you. Get to my house now. I go, are you serious, dude? I go, I don't want to put you out. You're not sleeping in a Buc-ee's parking lot. Come on. So the first person out of the entire group that I met in, well, actually, no, CJ from Cooking with CJ was the first person I actually met because he was out in New England.
Right.
But the point being is, I've never met Uncle Steve a day in my life other than back and forth on a video. I pull into his house at somewhere between 1 and 1:30 in the morning with my wife, 2 kids, and 2 batshit crazy dogs. And the first thing I do is I get a big hug and my ass grab. Right? But that says it all right there. 1:30 in the morning, and he's welcoming my family into his house. And he's never physically met each other in person. Well, and it didn't matter.
It's funny, right? Like I always tell everybody, like in barbecue, you get to know each other just on like Gordon and Brenda Thompson are from Cleveland, Ohio, and they're always on. They're and we were on a podcast with each other, and man, if I ever met them, I'm gonna hug Gordon. I'm gonna give him a big hug and be like, it's like. But there's people that we've met, like again, we try to go cook the big cooks, right? Like, but man, we went to, and I forgot where it was at. Arica hit an 8th place chicken, but it was earlier this year. There was 215 teams, and And, it was a mud pit. So, nobody's really talking. And where we were at, I mean, like we had mud boots on, and we stayed in Tommy Martin's camper. And I hated that cook because there were so many people that I knew. Alvin, there were so many people that I wanted to hang out with or whatever, but it was like a trek. And even though there was 215 teams, it was like you were by yourself because it was so muddy. And I've been to 15 team cook-offs where Saturday nobody's eating barbecue, and I had a buddy Chris Williams that used to be on my team. He would cook Walmart pizzas on the smoker, and people would be like, and they would ask him like, "Did you make the dough?" And he was like, "Yeah, I've been doing that all day. Like after I turned in the ribs, I've been kneading this dough all day." And it's like, it's the barbecue is one of those things where, the first time I met Philip Breeden, I felt like I knew him. First time I met Bill Purvis, right? Like I felt like I knew him. And now Bill, he has a security detail, right? Like you can't get close to Bill anymore. Phil is still like you can go right up to Phil and talk to Phil, and then Kit Polk one time. You've heard all the Kit Polk stories, right, Johnny? So
Kit, how did you make those ribs? How those ribs? Yeah. It finished up great, somewhere between tough and mush.
Exactly. We were at the Roswell Invitational last year, and Carmen Breeden, and then I forgot, like Philip thought I was somebody else. And he's like, "Hey, what's up, Steve?" or something. So everybody called me Steve all weekend or whatever the name was. I'm like, "Thanks a lot, Phil." But Carmen was like, "Hey, Kit made these amazing margaritas." And Kit goes, "I did. They're great. They're the best margaritas you'll ever have." And I go, "Well, I don't have a cup." So he takes a water bottle. He opens it up. He empties it, pulls a key out of his pocket, starts poking, cuts the water bottle where it's like this high, and pours the margarita in there and gives it to me. And it was one of the best margaritas I've ever had. But that's Kit Polk. Like, Kit's a legend.
Oh, yeah.
He is a legend.
Every time the boys have him on, and I just sit there dying. Sit there dying.
Hey,
he is the definition of telling you everything without telling you a damn thing in the end of
it. You remember in the Cracker Jacks, you'd get a decoder ring, right? Like a long time ago. That's what you need. But one time, Arica makes, she has this mac and cheese. It's called Magic Mac, right? Mm-hmm. So she used to make that at competition. She'd make it because I like it because that's the only way I'll eat the barbecue. So she was like, "Hey, ask Kit Polk if he wants some mac and cheese." And so, and he had we were outside talking for an hour and a half. Now he talked for an hour and a half. I only could understand about 3 minutes out of that, right? Mm-hmm. So she brings him this big old bowl of mac and cheese, and it was the only time he was quiet all night. And then he just looked at her and goes, "You got any more of this? This is good. I want the recipe." Like Kit is a legend, man. Kit is a legend.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I'm a mailman during the day, so I had listened to all my podcasts for the week. So it's last Saturday. It's like, oh shit, what else? I had like 2 hours left of the day. I'm like, so I went back to Bill and Phil's podcast a couple weeks with Kit.
It's just amazing.
My ass off. It's just, oh man.
Oh yeah. And here's the funny thing is, you can't make it up. Like I think people think that they're exaggerating.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, there's a difference between, because like Kit will be like, sometimes it's about the judges, sometimes it's about the food. Like, what does that even mean? Sometimes it's about the judges, sometimes it's about the food. Like the stuff he says, and I'm telling you, I think it was Phil said, "Hey, they need to do a reality show with Kit." And then it's like do the subtitles at the bottom. Pretty awesome. It'd be a great show.
Oh yeah, on one of the shows, and Phil was the one who said it. He goes, "Listen, with him, you can't make this shit up."
Oh no,
you really can't.
Because I know that they've told stories, and I've been around Kit a lot, but I've been around him enough to where those are factual. Like he'll talk to you for 10 minutes, And he goes, like you said, it's between tough and mush, right? Like that's a perfect line. And so, sometimes you got to cook it, and then I love his little mannerisms because he'll be like, sometimes you got to. But man, he is the real deal. I mean, I don't know what deal it is, but he is the real deal.
Yeah, the one that gets me every time, that he's at a cook-off and he had just taken his ribs out. Right? He goes, I hadn't even started drinking yet. He goes, I went over, turned around, my ribs were gone. I look across the field, there's this mangy dog running down with 2 bags in his mouth. I just grabbed the biggest stick I could, chased that dog down. Everyone's like, oh, how cute. Chip's playing with the dog. He goes, no, I'm trying to get my ribs back.
Oh, shit.
Finally, he drops it, and I pick up, and he goes, it was the bigger bag. Not punctured anything, so they're still good. And it's like, he cooked them.
Oh, yeah.
The bag's not punctured. The bag's still good. It's like, oh, my God.
Hey, we said that 250-degree pit. We used to laugh at how much stuff we either burnt or left in there. And one time we left all the utensils from the last cook. And I'd throw a whole bag of, charcoal in there and get it lit up and it'd be hot. And one time I melted all the plastic. And somebody's like, man, I want to see your pit. We opened it up and everything's melted in there. And then one time we went to Wichita Falls. And the dog thing reminds me because it's funny. So we get there. Well, I used to cook like 4 chickens or 5 chickens, 5 half chickens. Mm-hmm. Well, I forgot to take the chickens off the pit. So those chickens had sat for 2 weeks in that pit. And I was like, crap, man.
Oh, Jesus.
So the next morning I had a trash bag and I threw it in the trash bag. We were still sleeping in the tent. I unzipped the tent and there's a Doberman pincher right in my face and he starts licking my face. And then he runs over to the trash and he grabs one of those rotten ass chickens and takes off hauling ass down the road. And I'm like, that dog's going to have some intestinal problems a little bit later.
Yeah. And what would be the classic Kit folk finish that? He goes, those chickens?
What?
Second place chicken.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I think, and again, it's different now than what it used to be.
Yeah.
But you used to learn from your mistakes, right? Like you'd do something, you're like, oh, this is not good. And then all of a sudden you get a call. Like that Glen Rose, again, there might have been beverages involved, but I went to bed at like 3 a.m. I had the fire going. It's when I used to cook my briskets like, 14, 15 hours. Mm-hmm. So I get the pit rolling at like 300 degrees or 220 degrees. I put the brisket on there. Well, I wake up at 5:30 to check it. Well, I go out there, the pit's at 500 degrees. I'm like, crap. I turned the brisket was almost already done. So I pulled it out, I wrapped it, and I was like, well, we're not getting a brisket call. I put it back in there. I probed it. It was done at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Put it in an ice chest because I didn't have a Cambro back then. Pull it out, whatever time. Turn-in was at 3. Reminds you, turn-in's at 3. Hit first place brisket. And I was like, okay. So, man, we recreated that a bunch, and now Johnny, what temp do you cook your brisket at?
I'm right around 300 because that's where that Miss Mary runs. I throw some charcoal, 2 splits, let it run for an hour. Then it's a split every hour and 15 minutes. And she just wants to run at 300. Yeah. So I just run it. If I want to drop it down, I open the grease valve.
Yeah.
And it literally drops it to 275 and it'll sit there. So, but yes, run it regular and everything's right open. She just wants to run at 300 and she'll sit there all day long. So that's where I just sit now.
It's funny. I cook on a drum, but I don't use any of the blowers. But man, I'll get that thing hot and then I'll put a piece of lump charcoal on the lid so it stays open about that much. Mm-hmm. And that first hour, I'm screaming that thing. It's cooking at 400 degrees. And it plumps up. right? It's crazy. So if you have a thin brisket and you want it to plump up, I mean, run it at 400 for the first hour and then shut it down. It's crazy. Yeah. How long does it, like our brisket, because CBA is the only thing we do burn ends in, right? But most of the time it's just a brisket. And I mean, I'll put it on. It's funny because you'll see that's how I know when people like I've had people come over and go, "Hey, I don't want to tell you anything, but it's 11 o'clock," and you're like, "Okay." And they're like, "What time you put your brisket on?" I go 8:30 in the morning, and they're like, "What?" And they're like, "Man, you got to do low and slow," and it's like you can almost tell like people's cooking or how they're cooking their food if they're a good comp cook or not, right? If you're going somewhere where you don't know anybody. If you see that white smoke, you know they're not a comp cook.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like I said, I'm at the point of I get so excited for cook-offs and I just get so jacked up. Once I pull in or load in on Friday, that's it. I'm not going to sleep till Sunday night. Can't do it. Cannot do it. So I haven't had the best luck on the briskets. And because, you know, trimming them down, cutting them down, and it's like, I go, next time out, I'm not doing shit.
Right.
I'm trimming it like the backyard. So if I get a 14 to 16 pound Snake River, that's what I'm cooking. I'm not breaking it down to 6-7 pounds. I'm gonna cook a regular brisket because I'm gonna be up anyway. I can't sleep, so screw it. I go, those are the briskets I cook. I'm just gonna run it.
Well, I'll tell you right now, like it's almost one of the reasons I love Texas barbecue and Texas barbecue associations. CBA, I love CBA because that's like a jump if you want to do KCBS, right? Like they judge on appearance. I mean, a lot of those guys that dominate, like the points leader in CBA right now is Philip Breeden, right? Well, here's the thing: he went up to Utah last weekend and GC'd it.
Yeah.
So it's not like it doesn't work, but I think that the more you cook or the more you do or the better you get or whatever, it's I think the worst thing that happens to a new cook is they go to YouTube, right? So you talked about barbecue pitmasters, and it's funny because I never watched barbecue pitmasters until COVID.
Like, really?
I never watched it. Like, I remember one time I called my nephew and I was like, "Hey, there's a guy that has a big straw hat, overalls, with a cigar." And he's like, "Dude, that's Mo Cason." I'm like, "I don't know who that is," but everybody's like going up taking pictures with him. And he goes, "Dude, that's not Mo Cason." So I went up to him. I go, "Hey, mind if I get a picture?" And I sent it to him. He goes, "Man, he's a rock star in barbecue pitmasters." And then Eric and I, we during COVID, there was nothing to watch, and you're at home all the time. I wasn't traveling. I travel a lot for work, and we start watching it, and I'm like, "Man, this is awesome." Now I know who Myron Mixon was because I'd see him on TV or whatever. I'm like, but it's funny because Johnny, like you go anywhere and people know who you are, right? In the barbecue world, right? People are like, "Oh, that's Johnny Mags," because I saw you walking up. And I go, "That's Johnny Mags," and
which still blows my mind.
It's kind of cool though, right? It's kind of cool, a little bit. It's kind of cool.
It is cool.
Yeah, but think about it from my perspective. They do that, but not to me. They do it to Arica. They don't even know who I am, right? At the end of the day,
yeah.
It's like I always say, Arica's. We do TikTok. So if any TikTok followers out there, LimpBrizkit_BBQ. We would do videos, and every time I was in the video, we'd get like 18 views. Arica would be in there, it's like 100,000 views. So we quickly realized that Arica is going to be the face of Limp Brisket. But Max, you're right. Arica is the pitmaster. it's cool because barbecue, you can be in a different city, a different state. And when you see each other, just what you said, like when I met you in Houston, I felt like, man, I already knew you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, and it's cool because, everything that Eric and I've ever done, like one time I got mad, I didn't get the calls I wanted. And she was like, hey, if this is how it's going to be, we'll just stay at home. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, we'll just stay at home. And the reason I bring that up is if you're thinking about competing, most people on here, they're competition barbecue cooks. Man, if you don't go out there and have a good time, it's kind of your own fault, but you have to have the right mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Fergola from Fergalicious Barbecue. And one of the coolest things that I'm telling you right now about the Royal Oak Invitationals in Roswell, Georgia, you're sitting in a hotel room and everybody brings whiskey. They bring a bottle. Last year it was Arica's birthday and everybody's saying happy birthday to Arica, which is kind of cool. But you have in that little room at the hotel, because they don't even have a bar. It's like the where they eat breakfast. Mm-hmm. You have Heath Riles, Malcolm Reed, right? Richard Fergola, Mike Sugarfire Johnson, who's not the marketing director. Sorry about that. And you're sitting there and you're just talking barbecue. And it's like, and Richard said, hey, and, I was like, man, you've been dominating KCBS forever, blah, blah, blah. Tell me about your mindset, because, we all cook. We all know the tips and tricks is, we all use the different sauces. And Richard said, and it really kind of changed us the first year. He said, if you're not going into every competition thinking that you're going to win it, you've already lost. If you're, and I had an old boss that a long time ago said, hope's not a strategy. So, if you're hoping for a call, you're probably not going to get one. If you get one, it's lucky. So, go in with a mindset, and Arica is my mindset. She comes up, she'll tell me, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. And also she's my alarm clock because I like to sleep late. Just be honest.
Yeah, there you go. Robert, what's up? Bam, Bam, what's up, brother? Oh, that's funny. But James, something tells me that if we ever get together with the wives, you and I are going to be in trouble.
Well, that's what
Claudia sound way too much alike.
Oh no! I'm telling you right now, like, it's funny because, like you said, it's in Houston. Like, I wish she would have been there, but she has to work. Somebody has to work in our family. But I'm telling you right now, like, I'd love for us to, like, Big Rome, this is for you. Have a big Texas barbecue chapter blowout. Rent an event and invite Johnny Maggs down there and your wife. And because here's the thing, it's cheaper for you to fly down here, you and your wife, than it is to cook a competition.
Oh yeah. You know what they say, if you want to make $1 million in competition barbecue, start with 3.
Yeah, exactly. I always love when you see those posts of people going, hey, I'm thinking about getting into competition barbecue. What do you think? And then you see the guy say, yeah, just here's the thing. Put like 30 grand in a waste barrel and bring it over to my house. Cause that's what it is.
That's it.
Look what James Page said. Maggs needs to move to Texas.
Oh yeah. She'll move in a heartbeat. I'll guarantee that. My whole thing is I do not, and I'll take shit for it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to survive that heat.
Well, but
that is some hot stuff. I was struggling last week up here because we were around that 103, 105 for like 3 or 4 days with the humidity of 115, shit like that. Well, that was just 3 or 4 days.
Well, Johnny, I'll tell you right now. I've played golf. I lived in Arizona for 3 years. I played at where they had the Waste Management Open, where everybody goes crazy and stuff. I played in a day in August. It was 122 degrees, right? But it's a dry heat. The only time I've ever almost had a heat stroke was that Glen Rose cook-off that I told you was 138 degrees, and playing in a golf course in New Jersey. It was 95 degrees, and the humidity. Like people think up the Northeast, it's like cool. I worked at a company called PI Genesis for 7 years, and I flew to Philadelphia almost every week. And man, it might be 90, but it feels like Houston. I mean, it is horrible.
The humidity up here gets unbearable.
Oh yeah,
you know, but then we still have our wonderful winters.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
That's what you need to come up. Call it February.
No,
and we'll cook out in the driveway. It'll be 0, but it's a dry 0.
Yeah, that's a dry 0.
And Miss Mary will still run at 300 all day long.
I have rain. I have rain gear. You know, and like when it's super hot, you just go out there and check your meat. You go in your air conditioning. But 0 degrees, we cooked in Ardmore one time. There was a cold front coming in, and that central part of the U.S. can get really cold. And when I went up to light my pit, and Arica never left the truck. It was like 19 degrees with a 30-mile-an-hour wind, and the wind chill was -1. And I lit that brisket, and I walked in the truck, and I looked at her, and I go, man, Arica, what did we say? That was the whole weekend. We're like, dumb as hell. Like, why are we doing this? We're stupid. And my buddy Chris Williams, there's a guy that says stupid beer down in Texas.
Yes.
My buddy Chris Williams, his whole thing that whole day was, yeah, this is stupid. My buddy, he was like, if we wouldn't have been drinking on Wednesday, we wouldn't have came out here. He's like, we blamed stupid beer the whole time. But yeah, I won't cook in the cold, man. I'll do anything.
This is how you survive cooking in 0-degree weather. Okay? And you're already halfway there because you got your sneakers on.
Right.
You got your socks. So the only part that's going to be exposed is really your knees because you do wear shorts in the dead of winter up here. All you need to do is put on a hoodie and you're good.
No. See, you're wrong.
You don't put a real coat on until it gets them minus double-digit shit.
No, I would have thermals on with coveralls. I'd have all the warmers that you shake up in every part of the body. Like, I'm little enough. I'm using warming pads, man.
But oh shit, good.
Yeah, Daddy Dutch Barbecue, Tom Fuentes, stupid beer. He has the hat.
Stupid beer. Yeah.
Stupid beer.
Oh yeah.
So,
my brother.
When are you coming back to Texas, Johnny?
That I don't know. You said something about next year at Houston. Well, I got some bad news on that one. Won't be next year. I knew eventually, because with the post office, I got a rotating day off. So, like, one day it's Monday. The next week it's Tuesday. So, eventually it was going to bite me in the ass. And this coming year is the year they're going to bite me in the ass because they moved the dates back or forward, however you want to call it. So, it's the week later. So, it's the last weekend. First weekend in February, March, which falls on my weekend off.
Right. Oh.
So there's too much money involved.
Oh, I understand.
On Friday and Saturday. So I won't be there this year, but the following year I'll be back. And I think the missus is coming with me. But, unless we can pull something off here or there. Because I'm sure she'd be down for a weekend,
Well, here's the thing. There's 250 plus comps in Texas, right? Like, it's not like, I'm telling you, you can pick any weekend and you can go cook.
Yeah. I love that fact.
And if they do that stock show syndicate, that's in the stockyards of Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. That's a party. Right, like they have live bands every night, but yeah, we'll definitely get together. We got to get you down here. I think you need one of those hats that go around. They call it a cowboy hat. I think you need one of those.
dude, I need one. I had to be 17. I was still in high school.
And you had those red ropers, didn't you? Did you have red ropers?
No. I had a beautiful, what was it, a 4 or 6X beaver skin.
Ooh.
My father he had to go down to Tennessee. He was in the auto parts business.
Okay.
He had to go. They had the hell they call them, the yearly meeting type thing of all the new stuff. And so he had to go to Tennessee. He picked me up that hat there. Then we had a store up here. It was called the Silver Cloud in Somerville, Massachusetts. No longer there. I think it's a Home Depot now. But I got my first pair of boots there. So that was 17 years old. So that was 90, senior year, 97. So that was 95, 96. And then I lost it when we moved here. We had some water issues, and I lost my hat. So I need to get a new one. I have to go. There's that store up here we have called, the Boot Barn.
Right.
My nephew just started working there. So I got to go and put an order through him. Over here. Get your uncle what he needs and keep the change.
Yeah, give me that discount. I need that family discount.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely need a new hat. Hell, Claudia's sitting on one. Hold on, let me think. At least 3 hats, maybe 4, and currently 9 pairs of boots. When we came down for the pit, I left with the pit. She left with 2 hats and 3 pairs of boots, and it has just gone from. Oh, she wears them all the time.
Boots ain't cheap.
Oh, hell no! But she goes, what the hell did she say? She goes, I can't believe you. You got me into this too now. I'm like, hey, I told you they're comfortable. You think I was lying to you? I go, I learned from lying to you, and I don't do that.
Right.
It's dangerous.
I'll tell you, man.
Oh, yeah.
That cowboy life is expensive. Those hats are expensive.
Oh, screw off, Dutch. Fine.
I like Daddy Dutch.
Oh, he's a peach, isn't he?
Now, are they all going to cook in the cook-off in 2 weeks up there in the northeast? Is Daddy Dutch cooking?
No, he's not coming out. He's more than welcome to come out, but yeah, just a bunch of the local guys. And then Bill's coming out. Phil, Carlos Calzada.
Man, Carlos is awesome, man.
Yeah. I think I saw Jason Stagmill is on the list.
Yeah.
And there's still a rumor of Robert Smith coming out.
Yeah,
I guess he hasn't officially decided, but he's really good friends with the CBA reps that are doing this event.
Yeah.
So I think he is coming out, but not 100% sure. So Texas is going to be well represented.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you right now, Robert Smith, like all those guys you just mentioned are like Robert Smith is one of the cool. Like, have you ever hung out with Robert, Johnny?
I've never met Robert.
I'm telling you right now, like Robert Smith, when you talk about like people you've never met, Robert is one of the coolest guys I've ever met in barbecue. Like, he is down to earth, humble. And then here's the thing, like, so Eric and I's first CBA was at the Great Wagyu Roundup at the River Ranch Stockyards. I'd never cooked pork before. And that was the one that it wasn't done, so I put it on that bottom rack or whatever.
Mhm.
And then he's the one that told me, he was like, hey, this isn't KCBS. Like, you're going to have all these judges that are going to look in a pork box, and if you have nothing but money muscle in there and chunks, they're not going to know what the hell they're looking for. Pulled pork. So I put the money muscle and the pulled pork and the money muscle. I showed a picture to my buddy Benny Coger, and he goes, it looks like you threw up in a box, man. You don't stand a chance. Exactly what he said. He goes, it looks like you threw up in the box, and you're not going to – he goes, I'm not trying to be an asshole, James, but you don't have a chance. And we hit first place pork. And the only reason we hit first place pork is because Robert Smith said, man, don't overcomplicate a ham sandwich. Like, this is not like this isn't KCBS. They're not going to take that. They're going to look and go, I don't know what those circle things are. I want some of that stuff. And I'm telling you, Eric and I do that. And I shouldn't say that because Erica just said, shut up. But everywhere we cook, like everybody, they'll show me these pretty boxes. And they're like, man, what are you thinking? I'm like, oh, it looks really good. And we just do a couple of money muscle and nothing but pulled pork. And it hits because the judges don't know. And that's the other thing too. Like KCBS, those are trained judges. They know what to look for, but you have to hit their palate. You have to hit what they're looking for. We cooked at the Real Oak Invitational, and I had a judge tasting my rib, and we're all like, man, there's perfect texture and all that. And the guy goes, yeah, I don't taste any Blues Hog. He was a master judge. Said, I don't taste any Blues Hog. And I'm like, well, I don't use Blues Hog. And he goes, oh, okay. And I'm like, they know what sauces to look for. In Texas, most of the organizations, except KCBS, it's judges off the street. So you have to do middle of the road with pop. You can't offend anybody. It can't be too spicy. Can't be too sweet. And to see what, like, the Philip Breedens and the Stephen Peacock's on here. I mean, Stephen Peacock, these guys, they're going to every part of Texas, and they're hitting on a consistent basis. And these aren't trained judges. These are people off the street. So it's going to be interesting to see how the KCBS cooks do when it's a CBA where you pull judges off the street.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting.
And I was talking to Ryan Newell on the way home tonight, and he was like, so this competition, he goes, what's the deal? I go, dude, this could get real interesting. Like you said, if Robert does come out, obviously Phil got number 6 on Saturday.
Robert has 6.
Robert is sitting on 6.
Yeah.
And I think Bill is sitting on 5.
Yeah, Bill has 5.
So this one is an auto because it's the only one in Rhode Island. So can you picture the 3 of them going head to head for that one trip to get down there? Ooh, that could be fun. That's gonna be fun.
They're all cooking in Rogers, Oklahoma, or Rogers, Texas this week.
Yeah.
And Eric and I would love, like, man, Charlie Shirley is a promoter there, and this guy's absolutely amazing. This guy's fought stage 4 cancer, or he has advanced cancer that he's fought for years. I don't think he's eaten a meal in like 3 years. Like, everything's intravenous, and he throws this cook-off, and it's amazing. And Eric and I had already planned our rib cook-off because there's no way we'd miss it. We GC'd it last year. We love that cook-off. We love Charlie. And I told everybody, hey, man, if you're chasing points or you're chasing stuff or you just want to go experience, like, look, I want my cook-off to do well, but it's Rib Cook-Off Association. There's going to be a lot of cooks, new cooks out there. Man, go out and support Charlie Shirley. But you're going to have Bill Purvis, Robert Smith, Philip Breeden. Everybody's going to that cook. I mean, it is going to be a stacked field. And and everybody's chasing points in Outlaw. And Johnny, I don't know, but have you heard about the Outlaw Barbecue Association?
Oh yeah.
So they do segments. So every quarter you're chasing points. Well, whoever the top 4 are, they qualify for the end of year barbecue tournament, right? There's a championship at the end of the year, and then they make money for being in the top 4. Well, they get their names taken out of the hat, and then it's another 4, and so everybody's chasing points, and there's a cook-off in Oregon, and I'm sorry, Alta, Jason, don't hate me for that, but there's a cook-off in the Northeast and Outlaw. It's in August or Northwest, and so you have Rogers is like everybody coming together, and it's going to be, mano el mano. Like I so wish I was there, not to cook in it but just to see all these amazing great cooks. This weekend's going to be a hell of a weekend in Texas in Rogers. And I'm telling you, every team that you can imagine that's a good team in Texas will be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
Oh, that's awesome.
And James, is the Jack is not until the end of July, right?
July 31st is the cutoff.
Yeah, so James, it's not. I saw James said it's also the last comp for the Jack. It's not. It's the Patriot James. Jack ends in end of July. It's not. Isn't it the American roll the end of June? I can't remember. Like we always think of end of June in Texas.
The Royal.
What is
Royal, I think is the end of June.
Yeah.
Looks like the cutoff for the Jack is going to be either depending on where you are, the July 27th or July 28th. That's the Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
The 31st is a Wednesday, unless someone throws something wild on Monday and Tuesday.
Man, I should have done that in Ryan, Oklahoma. I should have had a contest because I'd have had everybody and their mom coming in for that.
Oh, hell yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going to be, I'm telling you, that automatic qualifier too. I know that Matt was talking about teams. Y'all are going to have the qualification. Is it a state championship? Did you already get it licensed for a state championship?
I think Matt did. Matt's running it. Matt Pereira.
Okay. Because that's the other thing too. Like Louisiana, they do a CBA, and every cook-off in Louisiana that's a CBA is a state championship. So they're all qualifiers. And in Texas, it's all qualifier. And I will say Outlaw did a great job at first. They would go, they'd talk to the promoters, and almost, I think 90% or more of the cook-offs in Texas for Outlaw are state championships. Well, CBA does the same thing. And, hell, CBA, almost all their cook-offs are 50-plus teams.
Yeah.
But, if you're – the problem with the Jack is I think last year I had 2 bungs. The year before I had 3. They're drawing for 150 cook-offs. You got to get 7 in Texas to get in. That's the bottom line. You got to get 7 in Texas. And, I'm thinking that turnout is going to be good, just not from the Texas teams, but all the other teams, like all the teams in the Midwest, all the teams in the East Coast.
100%.
If you win it, you're automatic. Johnny, I've never been to the Jack. That's kind of like a dream of mine. But
oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, and hey, if our bung gets selected, if our bung gets selected, Johnny, I'm inviting you out.
All right.
I think I got a 1. I think I got a 1 in 215 chance, but just let you know, we'll invite you out there.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Saying there's a chance. Every time I look at Pam when she posts it, and I'm like, God dang it, man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I even sent her a message, and I said, hey, could maybe you draw 2 names from Texas? And she never responded because she's right. It's 1 per. I get it.
Yeah.
I think a New Zealand team won brisket last year. Both Bill and that New Zealand team both had 180s for brisket, and it was the first time a team outside the U.S. that hit a first place call at the Jack.
Yeah, and it was and Uncle Pig was the GC that he's out of New Jersey, and he cooks a lot of the ones around here too, because within a couple hours from New Jersey, he's in the area. So Eric's a great guy.
Yeah, and y'all probably see. I mean, like in Texas, like I go down south and I see cooks that I love to see and hang out with. But I mean, it's like different areas. You see the same cooks. But in Dallas Fort Worth, I mean, there's usually like 10 or 12 of us that are going to be at every cook that's been there since 2018.
But, well, brother, I
appreciate it.
This was great.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Like I said, we're gonna do this again for sure, especially when Arica is feeling better. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I want to get yelled at.
Yeah. No, and I'm telling you, she's a lot sweet. Yeah. She's sweeter to you than she will be to me. But no, she was bummed out, man. She was like, I just don't feel like I can set up for that long. And I said, hey, make an appearance, and she's like, first of all, my wife, if she goes to the convenience store to get gas, she's gonna get dressed to the 9. Mm-hmm. And she's like, babe, I don't want to do that. I'm just, and I was like, okay. And then, I mean, again, I'm not going to say anything bad because she's listening, and I don't want to get any stitches tonight either. So,
well, I'm going to tell you, Arica, when you are ready to go, darling, just let me know, and we'll get it booked, and we'll hear your side of the story.
Yeah, Johnny, I appreciate you having me on, sir. I really do.
You see me stirring the pot there, brother?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I appreciate you having me on. But yeah, brother, all the comments to the right, that's gonna, that's. I'm telling you, man. It's barbecue is barbecue. My wife's my wife. I love her to death. Like, if barbecue went away tomorrow, I wouldn't care. I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers and everybody reaching out. Like, we usually do this together, or she's right there, like pointing at me, talking crap, jokingly, right? Like, I joke how mean she is. That part I'm really not joking about. I just the love that we got from the barbecue family and our friends and stuff. But man, these are like Tim Esch checks on us, and Tim Esch, I call Tim Esch the Tim Duncan of barbecue. Like, when I was like younger, people would say, I'd say, hey, who's your top 5 or basketball players? And they give me names. I go, what about Tim Duncan? They're like, oh shit, you're right. Yeah, you got to put Duncan in there. Mm-hmm. Tim Esch is the same way, man. I think he's just so friendly. He just wins. And Tim Esch has checked on my wife the day of the surgery. Him and Dot, they're amazing people. And like, it's like every other day. Hey, how's Arica doing? Does y'all need anything? And there's tons of other people that have done that. But man, we appreciate it. And Johnny, thanks for having us on here. We watch the podcast. We love watching. Man, we can't wait to see you in Texas, and we won't wait till Houston. We'll make something happen. I think I saw Big Rome said he's bringing tomahawks and ribeyes, so I'm all in.
He speaks my language. He speaks fat guy. He's fluent in fat guy. But brother, where can everybody find you on all the social medias?
LimpBrizkit on TikTok and Instagram. It's LimpBrizkit_barbecue. Whatever. If you look for us, look for the pretty woman with the ugly guy, and because there's like 14 Limp Briskets, but just look for the ugly guy with the pretty wife, and you found us.
That's what I say about me. I go look for her. You'll find her before you look at me.
I'm just letting you know that's what she texted me and told me to say. I'm just being honest.
Hey, that's all right. Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, you make that damn right, Max. You're gonna make that breakfast sandwich.
Oh hell yeah!
He is on the roll with the breakfast sandwiches, man. Cool. But brother, like I said, I appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship. So glad I was finally able to meet you in person a couple months ago down in Houston, and we're gonna do it again, brother.
Hey, Johnny, I want to add one thing. You got to get a better microphone for Houston next year or 2 years from now.
You know something? I was trying to fucking figure that out. And I think
like we watched the videos and then the wind or whatever was canceling it out.
It was what it was we were holding them like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So the arms move or whatever. I did one with Doug Scheiding from Road Cookers.
Okay.
And it was perfect. Now, granted, we were in the tent.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were outside the tent. But you know, to get in those tents,
he had the microphone right there.
Yeah, to get in those tents, it's golden. Like, it's hard to get, like, even like I cook for those guys, but I respect that tent, and I tell everybody, like, hey, you can come see me, say hi, but I can't let you in the tent. Like, I mean, I mean, you know how it is. They even our little tent's $80,000.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's crazy.
It's wild. Yeah, respect the tent.
Respect the tent.
Sure. If you ever find yourself in Houston and you find yourself lucky enough to get a wristband, do not pull any shit in that tent because you will never be back there.
Oh yeah, it's true. Well, Johnny, I appreciate you, sir. Nice to meet you in Houston. Nice to talk to you. I wish my better half could have been here tonight, but you understand. Great show. Great show, man.
All right. Thanks, brother. Hang on 1 second, brother. Let's close this out.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, James, Arica. Thoughts and prayers. Recover, darling. We're going to have some fun when we get to talk. But thank you all for tuning in. Like I said earlier, thank you all for everything. Everybody donated and contributed to Blake's fundraiser yesterday. Thank you all for tuning into that also. That meant a lot. And next week, tentatively, we have Ryan Newland from Backline Fab, and he's going to work to see if he can get Brooks too, because he's going to drop all those Brooks and Ryan are the ones who did the drum for the fundraiser. So you saw the black and the neon green. And that's what they're going to start doing now is a whole line of those drums. And he's already got 2 ordered already. And it just got displayed yesterday. He was cutting out the pieces. But he's going to give us the whole insight on everything and what he does to make these drums so special. So Ryan Newland and potentially Brooks next week. But until then, guys, keep that smoke rolling.